anti-clockwise direction, your electron, any query? Hello?
No, madam, you can go ahead. No problem.
Okay. Right. So, like a mechanical object, if you talk about a mechanical object, which can be rotated in anti-clockwise and clockwise direction. Similarly, your electron can also, as I had mentioned, it has an angular momentum, right? So, similarly, like a mechanical object, your electron has an angular momentum that is known as spin angular momentum. Okay. So, what do you mean by the spin angular momentum generally? So, suppose we say that this is our nucleus around which this electron is rotating, right? So what will happen while this electron rotates around this nucleus, it is rotating around this nucleus as well as it is rotating about its own axis. Like here you can see, okay, the electron will rotate about its own axis, also about this nucleus. Okay, so it has a spin angular momentum. Okay, so we say that the electron generally has two kinds of spin angular momentum, right? And this property which we are saying, spin angular momentum, is a quantum mechanical property. Okay, so when I say it is quantum mechanical property, that means it is quantized. That means electron can have spin either plus half or minus half. Okay, so this becomes little technical. Okay, so in simple terms, if I want to say, an electron can have either spin up or it can have spin down. Okay, two spins an electron can take, spin up and spin down. Okay, so what we do is we manipulate the spin of the electron for information transmission or for the flow of current, rather than the charge of an electron, unlike used in the conventional MOS devices. Okay, fine. So one more most important thing which you need to understand about spin is, of course, as I had mentioned, that electron has a spin, right? Fine, that is okay. It has a spin, so we will be using the property of spin. But how this property of spin can be used in magnetic tunnel junctions? Okay, so very important concept, or very important property of spin is that associated with a spin is always a magnetic moment. That means this spin will always have a associated magnetic moment. Okay, for example, whenever a current is passing through a wire, suppose you have a general wire, okay, a current, electrons are passing through that wire. So whenever electron passing through a wire, they will always generate, because I am saying with the spin always a magnetic moment will be associated. Okay, so electron passing through a wire will always be a magnetic field will be generated. Okay, so two things are here. First, we are saying that we can use the property of electron as a spin. Okay, second thing is I am using the magnetic moment of that spin. That means I have now two properties of electrons. One is spin, other is magnetic moment, right? So I can use this concept of magnetic moment in very different ways. Okay, now as I had said that the electron can have spin up and spin down, right? So we can control the direction or the orientation of the spin in different ways. Okay, so we will see in the next slide how we can do this, how we can control the spin orientation of the electron using the phenomena of spintronics. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you okay, fine. So here, this is, suppose I'm taking a material here, this first one. Okay, so if you take a copper, okay, for example, I'm taking copper. Okay, so if we take copper which is used in our homes to wiring, for wiring, right? So this copper is entirely a non-magnetic. Okay, the material which I am using here is copper, for suppose. Okay, so this copper is entirely non-magnetic. Okay, now I have a battery here. Okay, my source from where I'm generating my electrons. Okay, so now when the current is passed through, or when the electrons are generated from this battery, initially what will happen is, this is an unpolarized battery source. Okay, so when I'm generating electrons from this battery, what will happen, initially it will have equal number of, see, this is not a new concept that there is spin. The concept of spin is always there. Electron always had spin, but we always use charge of electron for our applications, right? So spin is by default there in electron, but what we are doing is we are using this property of spin for our application. Okay, so when I'm generating electrons from this battery source, okay, so even initially what will happen is this battery source will have equal number of electrons will spin up and equal number of electrons will spin down. Okay, so as you can see from this battery source here, you have 3 electrons, right, in red color with spin up direction, okay, and 3 electrons in blue color with spin down direction, okay. So what I mean to say is, whenever you generate a current, or whenever you are giving electrons from a battery source, the direction or the orientation of electrons in context of spin will always be equal, okay. Now what I'm doing is, I am generating these electrons from a battery source, okay. So what will happen, these electrons are now entering this medium, okay, this material, and that I had mentioned that this is a non-magnetic material, right. So what will happen here, we cannot distinguish any spin characteristic of these electrons, because this is a non-magnetic. As I had mentioned, your electron, your spin also has a associated magnetic moment, right? So the moment it is entering this particular material, this is a non-magnetic material, okay? So when it enters this non-magnetic material, it will not be able to distinguish any spin characteristic of these electrons, okay, in a non-magnetic material. So we cannot use the concept of spin. We cannot use a property of spin for the current transmission here. So what we will say here is, the current is basically due to the charge flow in non-magnetic cases, okay. Right, now just come to the below diagram here, okay, this one. So here I am taking a ferromagnetic material here, okay. In this case, we take a material which has magnetism, such as steel, ho gaya, iron, okay. So in this case, what will happen, depending upon here also initially, the electrons which are generated from the battery source, equal number of electrons in up direction, equal number of electrons in down direction, spin, okay. So whatever I'll talk in terms of spin only, okay. So number of electrons with spin up will be equal, number of electrons with spin down will also be equal, right. So here, depending upon the orientation of the magnetic moment, now what I said, that this is a magnetic material, right? When I say it is magnetic material, that means it will have its own local magnetism, okay, right? Either it will be upwards or it will be downwards, okay. So just to make this simple, a color has been given to this one. So the material color is blue. So here the blue orientation is down, that means the local magnetic moment of this material is also downwards. So you can understand this way, the color of this material is blue, okay. So the blue color is down, okay. So the local magnetic moment of this material is downwards, okay. So the moment these electrons enter into this material, what we have seen here, there was no characteristic of spin here, because this material was not magnetic, right? The moment they enter here, what will happen, they will experience local magnetism here, right? Scattering will be experienced here. The moment these electrons from the battery source enter this magnetic material, scattering, you will see scattering here. So what we will see is, the electron which has magnetic moment in the direction of my local magnetic moment, okay, will be less scattered as compared to the electrons whose magnetic moment is opposite to the local magnetic moment. In simple terms, the blue color electrons will spin down, since this local magnetic moment is also downwards, as I had mentioned, will be less scattered, right? And more scattering will be experienced by this up direction, because the local magnetic moment is downwards and the coming electrons are upwards, okay. So what will happen in this case is, the current is transmitted due to spin down electrons, okay. So we can say that the 75% of the current which is transmitted through this material is due to the spin down. We can see here the majority current, okay, electrons are blue color, right, spin down, right, because their magnetic moment was in the same direction as in case of our local magnetic moment here, right. So 75% of the current is being carried by the spin down electrons, and 25%, maybe less also, okay, is carried by the red color electrons or the spin up, okay. So what we say here is, the current which is being transmitted here, okay, the information which is being transmitted is spin polarized, okay. Here it was not spin polarized, it was just based on the charge of your electron, right. So here we have manipulated the spin property of our electron, which was being driven by this battery source, and the current which we are getting, or the information which is being transmitted, is spin polarized. That means the current which we are getting is due to the spin of the electrons, okay. Now why this concept is very important, of course this is very important, okay. Why this concept is important? Because what we can do is we can make pile of such structures on a very small scale. Okay, on nano level lens also we can take such kind of structures. Now this is just a figure, right? Just a picture here, but experimentally what happens is the length on which these kind of structures are prepared are in nanoscale level. Okay, so this is the reason why you can accommodate more number of these kind of structures on a chip. Okay, so the power consumption, the problem of your power consumption reduces in case of spintronics field. Okay, so what I can do is I can just make these kind of structures make pile of these kind of structures and make devices like spin valve or magnetic tunnel junctions. Okay, is it all right till here? I'm sorry. Okay, so why this is important? Because I will use such kind of structures. I will just make a pile of such kind of structures and make a device. Okay, and this device are made at very nanoscale levels. Okay, at shorter lengths also you can make such kind of, you can take this kind of magnetic layers and just make pile of them and you can make a device out of it at very smaller lengths also. That means at nano level scales. Okay, and you can prepare devices like spin walls, magnetic tunnel junctions. Okay, so one such device is our magnetic tunnel junction, which I am going to discuss here. Okay, so the gist is MTJs or magnetic tunnel junctions, as they are called, they use the concept of spin, okay, and also the concept of magnetism. All right, rather than using the charge, they use the spin of electron. So why what is the importance of using this spin? Why we are saying that instead of charge we use spin only? So what will happen is, once you orient, okay, initially in this case, as we have seen, the direction was this one, right? Equal number of electrons were there in up and down, right? So we were not able to what you call use the spin characteristic, right? The moment we have entered here, so what we are doing, the moment is being changed. Okay, once you orient your electron spin in one direction, spin has the property that it can retain for a longer distances. So even if there is a power shutdown, okay, like in our normal devices, what will happen once there is a power shutdown, if your battery is not charged, your data will be all vanished, right? So this problem is not there in your spin based devices. Okay, once you orient your electron spin in one direction, it can sustain this spin direction. That means your information is being not lost even if your power shutdown is there. Okay, second thing is you are making these devices at very nanoscale levels. Okay, fine. Okay, so these are the very numerous advantages are there for spintronic applications, or I can say devices which use the concept of spin property of your electrons. Okay, so this is just one example, one device which I have I'm discussing here is magnetic tunnel junction, MTJs, which use the concept of your spin, also the concept of magnetism. Okay, so MTJs are basically 3-layer device. Okay, they are 3-layer devices. So 2 layers, this is 1 layer, this is another layer. As I had mentioned, we can, this was simple example which I had given you, right? So what I can do is I can duplicate this layer one more. This is one magnetic layer, I can make one more magnetic layer, I can make one more magnetic layer. Okay, so as I had mentioned about spin valve, so spin valve is a 4-layer device. Okay, like your magnetic MTJs are 3-layer, spin valves are 4-layer devices which also use the concept of spin as well as magnetism. Okay, so here this is a 3-layer device. There are 2 layers here. This is one is these 2 layers are made of ferromagnetic material. Okay, I've mentioned here F1 and F2. Okay, these 2 layers are separated by a insulating spacer. Okay, so if you see here, this is called a tunnel. Magnetic because the layers which we are using have a property of magnetism. Okay, tunnel, why it is called tunnel? Because we are using a spacer here, a very thin spacer layer, and the transmission and the electron which is passing from one layer to other is going by are being transmitted by the concept of tunneling. Okay, I hope everyone know the concept of tunneling. Okay, so this is a quantum mechanical phenomenon. Tunneling is a quantum mechanical phenomenon, right? So for tunneling to happen, electrons to tunnel from one layer to other, or one of course, one layer to other, what will happen? The thickness of your insulating layer should be thin enough. Okay, if your thickness is very high, had it been that this was not the thickness and from here till here was the thickness of my insulating layer, then the concept of tunneling will not come. Okay, fine, okay. So the thickness which we keep for these spacers is below 10 nanometer scale. Okay, the spacer are very thin so as to enable tunneling of electrons from one layer to other. Okay, so this is a MTU device. So it is a 3-layer device. This is magnetic layer, this is magnetic layer separated by a spacer here, insulator spacer here. Okay, so here briefly, quickly, I will just discuss about parallel state, what is parallel state, what is anti-parallel state here. Okay, so when the orientation of both the magnetic layers is same, okay, this is same, this is also same. Okay, when they are parallel to each other, what will happen? Suppose this is this direction of this one, right? So all the electrons will try to orient themselves in this direction. Okay, also in this magnetic layer the direction is in this direction. Okay, so the electrons which are passing, or the electrons which are being tunneled from this layer to this layer, will experience less resistance at this end, because here also the local magnetic moment is same as in this case, right? The resistance encountered by the electrons which are being tunneled from this layer will be less, right? So if we say that when the orientation of both the layers is same or parallel, I said that the resistance encountered by the electrons in this layer will be less, because same orientation spin is being encountered here, right? So we say the resistance is less and the current which is there in case of parallel orientation is very high. Okay, and resistance is very low. The other case is anti-parallel case, when your orientation are opposite to each other. Okay, in the moment of magnetic moment of this layer is upwards, the magnetic moment of this layer is downwards. Okay, so this is obvious, right? All the electron in this layer will try to orient themselves in this direction, upward direction. Okay, and when they tunnel to this particular layer, what they're encountering a local magnetic moment just opposite, right? So they will encounter a heavy resistance in this layer. When they tunnel through this one, when they come here, they will experience heavy resistance here, right? So hardly, maybe out of, it is showing that 1 2 3 4 5 6, so out of 6 electrons, upspin electrons which are trying to tunnel through this insulating barrier, only one is able to pass through this tunnel and go here, because heavy resistance is being encountered in this particular layer because of this magnetic moment opposite direction, right? So we say that when the moments are opposite, or when the moments are anti-parallel to each other, the resistance of the device is very high, also the current in this case is very low. Okay, fine. So this is I just gave you quickly the brief concept about around behind this MTU devices, what actually they are, and how the resistances we calculate. This is the resistance in case of parallel orientation, low resistance, high current will be there. Okay, in case of anti-parallel or opposite direction orientation, resistance will be very high, but the current will be very less in this case. Okay, fine. Quickly, one very important parameter which we actually evaluate when we study the MTU devices is the tunneling magnetoresistance. Okay, so generally TMR is nothing but a performance index. So we evaluate how good our device is working as a switch. Okay, so TMR is nothing but the change in resistance. Why we are saying magnetoresistance? Because the resistance is because of the magnetic moment, right? Everything is happening because of the magnetic moment. So the resistance which we are getting is because of the magnetic moment of the materials here, two layer. Okay, hence it is called magnetoresistance. Tunneling, because as I mentioned here, the concept of tunneling is here. Electrons are being tunneled from this layer to this layer here. Okay, so TMR is nothing but a performance index of your MTU device. Okay, so this is given as RA resistance in the anti-parallel case. This case minus resistance in parallel case divided by resistance in anti-parallel case. Okay, or in terms of current, it can be given in this way. Okay, so how do you say that if you have 70% TMR, if you have 100%, of course 100% is not practical, theoretically it is not achievable. Of course theoretically it is possible, but experimentally it is not possible. So TMR 70%, 80% means the higher the TMR, better your device is working as a switch. Okay, that means your device is switching very quickly between low resistance and high resistance values. Okay, so high TMR, high paneling magnetic resistance means your device is acting as a good or better switch. That means the transition between, generally the time which the transition time between the low resistance and high resistance in picoseconds. Okay, so how quickly your device can switch between low resistance to high resistance is evaluated by this parameter, tunneling magnetic resistance. So this is a very important parameter which we evaluate during the simulation of our device. Okay, fine. So this is the what do you call evaluating parameter for our this device. Okay. Okay, fine. So this was all about the theoretical concept of, device magnetic tunnel junction. Fine. So this is a brief literature review of, various MTJs which have been, reported in literature. So various materials have been used for, simulating of or for synthesizing the magnetic tunnel junctions. Okay, so initially when this device was when the work on this was started initially in the year 1988, people have started using this aluminum oxide, Al2O3 and MgO layers. Okay, so what you can do is you can take different layers for these two. Okay, these two layers. Fine. So we have to select materials which have magnetic moment for these two layers, and we have to select materials which has insulating property for this layer. Okay, for this spacer here. Okay, so initially when this device has started in 1988, long back, people have started using, chromium as the insulating barrier, germanium as the insulating barrier, and they have reported different TMRs. Of course, these are the experimental works, and they have reported very less TMR of 1.5% and 14% only. Okay, so over the time, the material there was change in the use of material also for the spacer, also for the magnetic layers. Okay, so the lot of work has been done on Al2O3 as the, spacer as an insulating layer here. So a lot of papers have been published and a lot of work has been reported with Al2 as a spacer and cobalt iron as, magnetic spacers here. Okay, also apart from Al2O3 as the barrier material, MgO, magnetic oxide, also has been used as, as a insulating layer between the two magnetic layers, and several people have reported, with MgO as well as the spacer layer, and they have reported TMR values of up to, 220% as well. Okay, all right, and 22472. So these are with Al2O3 and MgO as the tunnel barriers, and with different magnetic layers. Like magnetic layers which commonly were used were cobalt, iron, boron. Okay, these were the magnetic layers which were material which were used for magnetic layers, and MgO and Al2O3 as the insulating layers. Okay, but over the time, what happened, this barriers, these materials, Al2O3 and MgO based barriers, they had some limitations, because it was observed that there was, scattering, there were some defects in this when these materials were used. Okay, so there was a transition of materials from this oxide. These are generally oxide based materials. Okay, so the tunnel barriers which were made of this one were oxide based materials. So there was a transition from these materials to 2D materials. Okay, so recently a lot of there is, a lot of scope of these 2D materials for as a magnetic what do you call layers, as well as a insulating layer also. Okay, so there are many studies being reported, and still work is going on various 2D materials like graphene, silicon, phosphorine, okay, TMDCs, magazines, etc., as an alternative to this oxide based tunnel barriers here. Okay, fine. So in the upcoming slides, we will be discussing about, graphene and carbon nanotubes as the materials for the what do you call insulating layer, as insulating layer. Okay, so as I had mentioned that when you want to transmit spin, right? Right. So when you want to transmit spin over a distance, because whatever material you are using here should be able to withstand the same spin. Okay. Suppose the spin which is coming from here is of the orientation upwards. Okay. So the moment it enters this barrier, its orientation should not change, because the moment its orientation changes, your information is being lost. Okay. And before that, I'll just tell you where these MTGs are basically used. These are used in digital applications, okay, like hard disk, magnetic RAMs, okay, random access memories, magnetic RAMs. In hard disk, these are used, okay. Digital applications, they are used. So when I'm sending, and spin up is basically seen as information being transmitted as 1, and spin down is seen as information being transmitted as 0. Okay, fine. So if I am transmitting spin up from here, the moment it enters my spacer or this layer, its orientation should not change. Okay, first thing. Second is, of course, its orientation should not change. It should be able to retain its spin in the same way as it was here through a longer distances. Okay, so this is a challenge in itself, right? Only then we can say that it has an edge over the conventional electronics. Okay, because otherwise if its orientation changes, the information which is being transmitted from here is now the moment it is received as down here, that means we were sending 1 here but we are receiving 0 here. Okay, so the major challenge is to choose a material in such a way that which can retain, or which has long spin coherence length. That means it can, it can retain the spin of the electron to a longer distances. Okay, so one such material is our graphene. I hope all of you are familiar with graphene, right? So graphene is a single layer of carbon atoms, right, with 0 band gap. This also we know. Semi-metallic it is with 0 band gap, right? So the major why we have chosen graphene as one of the best suitable material for as a spacer material is because of its large coherence length. That means as I had mentioned that the length of our, or the thickness of our barrier is generally nanometer scale, right? And it is just below 10 nanometer. Approximately it has to be around 10 nanometer. Okay, it is in nanometer scale. That means the graphene is able to hold, as it is mentioned here, the spin coherence length of graphene is around in micrometers. Okay, that means it can hold the spin up to this lengths, and the spacer which we are designing, right, are synthesizing, are in nanometer scale. Okay, so graphene is very widely used in for this as a spacer material because of this reason, this sole reason. One major reason is because of its exceptional mobility, and also because of its spin coherence length. That means it has when your electron transmits through this, when spin electron transmits through this layer or this material, the orientation will be retained till these micrometer scales. Okay, that means it has very long spin coherence length. Okay, this is one major reason why graphene is mostly used in spintronic applications. Okay, fine. So this are the work which I'm discussing here is our published work here. Okay, so what we have done here is we have taken two comparisons here. This is a graphene layer, right? We have two layers here, as I had mentioned. MTJ is a 3-layer device, right? 2 magnetic layers, and one is your insulating layer, right? Fine. So now how do you choose your magnetic layers? Of course, we have seen that it has to be a ferromagnetic material, right? Apart from that, its efficiency should be high. That means if is it able to orient all the electrons in one direction or not? Okay, first suppose I am taking a material which is only able, I have some 10 electrons coming, and it is able to only orient some 6 electrons or 5 electrons only in the local magnetic direction. Okay, so how efficient that ferromagnetic material is also the challenge, one of the challenges while choosing the magnetic layer material. Okay, so here we have chosen CrO2, chromium oxide. Okay, so chromium oxide is a half metallic ferromagnet. Okay, so generally if you can go through, half metallic ferromagnets are those materials or magnetic materials, which has 100% efficiency, or which blocks one type of what do you call this, spin, and only allows one type of spin to propagate. Okay, so suppose I have spin up and spin down also, right? Now, since this is half metallic, what it will do, it will act as an insulator for one type of spin, and it will act as a conductor for the other type of spin. Okay, now if my magnetic moment is in this direction, okay, is in upward direction, okay, so what it will do is, it will act as a conductor for all the electrons which spin up, and it will act as an insulator for all the electrons with spin down. So it is a ferromagnetic material, but it is a half metallic. Half metallic means propagating one type of spin electrons, but it is acting as an insulator from other, that is blocking the other. That means the efficiency, spin efficiency of this material is very high. Okay, this has been experimentally also proven. We have not just talking hypothetically. Okay, CrO2 has been synthesized experimentally also to prove the half metallicity of this particular material. Okay, so its spin efficiency is very high. This is the reason why we have chosen this material as a as magnetic layer. Okay, so we have chosen CrO2 as the half magnetic layers on both the sides. Okay, here also we have CrO2 on both the sides. So what we have studied is, we have seen that if we orient graphene, or the insulating layer which has to be there between these two magnetic layers, in one case we have oriented it in parallel to these layers, and in one case we have oriented it in out of plane or in perpendicular direction to this layers. Okay, so it has been experimentally reported, okay, that when graphene is used in out of plane direction, or in perpendicular to this layer, it will act as of course, as I had mentioned, that the central region or the spacer has to be an insulating layer, right? Spacer has to be an insulating layer, right? So we need a layer which will act as an insulator. But having said that, we all know that graphene is a semi-metal, right? Graphene is a semi-metal, right? So I cannot say here that it can act as an insulator, right? This was the reason why we have oriented, or we have used graphene in out of plane direction. Okay, this again is experimentally proven, not hypothetically we are talking here, not hypothetically we have chosen here. Okay, so here when it is used in parallel, in out of plane direction or in perpendicular to our layers, this will act as a better insulator. Okay, of course, it will act as a better insulator. So we have taken out of plane configuration, we have designed in such a way that this is out of plane or perpendicular to these two magnetic layers. Okay, fine. So this was some of the findings of our work. So as I had mentioned in the previous slides, that we get current, this red color is your out of plane, in plane current. Okay, so current, of course, in case of parallel configuration, as I had mentioned earlier also, in case of parallel configuration you will get high current. Okay, since resistance is less, you will get high current for spin up. Okay, here we are assuming that this is our majority carriers, okay, and this is our minority carriers. Had it been then spin down was our majority carrier, so spin down would have been high and spin up would have been less. Okay, so these are the current versus voltage characteristics for the studied structures in case of parallel configuration, in case of anti-parallel configuration, or when the moments were same in both the layers, and when the moments were in opposite direction in both the layers. Okay, and this is the TMR, as I mentioned, tunneling magnetoresistance parameter, which is used to evaluate the performance of the device. Okay, so this is the TMR versus voltage result which we have obtained for when the graphene layer was placed perpendicular to the two layers, and when it was placed in plane to the two layers. Okay, so as it is clear from this figure also, when it was placed perpendicular to this two layers, the tunneling magnetic resistance obtained was almost near 96% for this structure. Okay, so this work we have published in Royal Society of Chemistry in Physical Chemistry, Chemical Physics. Okay, fine. Another work which we have done, I'm just giving you the possibilities, which kind of material, which all materials can you use for, you know, different materials which you can use, explore for your own work as well, what type, different type of materials are available. Okay, right, next work, we have also worked on carbon nanotubes. Okay, CNTs also we have worked with. Okay, so what we have done here is, carbon nanotubes, we have taken just bundle of carbon nanotubes. Okay, this is a simple carbon nanotube. Okay, fine. And here what we have done is we have combined two. This is with diameter increased. Okay, this is with 8,0 diameter, this is for 17 diameter. Okay, 8 and 17. Again what we have done is we have attached, or again as I had mentioned, you can always not go with the mono layers or the single layers. You can always explore heterostructures, hetero interfaces, right? So here we have attached two 8,0 bundles of CNTs. Here we have attached to 17,0 bundles. So the idea behind doing this work was to just test whether there is any, you know, importance or effect of diameter of CNTs on the TMR for this device or not. Okay, so we wanted to study this effect of diameter, whether diameter plays any role in, you know, in evaluating the performance of the device or not. So hence we have just studied these 4 structures of CNTs for the same device. Okay, of course the what do you call, the magnetic layer remained the same for this structure, this work also. CrO2 we have used as a half metallic magnetic material here also. Okay, so these are some of the findings from our work. These are the current and current versus voltage, you know, studies for all the 4 structures, 8,0, 17,0, and these are for the bundles, for this bundles here. Okay, and these are the TMR versus voltage comparison. So what we see here is, this is for bundle and this is for the single layers. Okay, so what we could conclude from this work is, the diameter of, you know, when you increase the diameter of your barrier, okay, thickness is not increased here. Just please mind you, thickness is not increased, just the diameter of the material is being increased. Okay, so with the diameter, the TMR of our device has increased as compared to these layers. Okay, this is a single layers, and these are the bundles where the diameter we have increased. Okay, fine. And this work we have published in Physics Letters A from elsewhere. Okay, all right. Okay, fine. So we have seen that graphene was used as a, you know, insulating layer between 2 magnetic layer, and we have said that you cannot, since the major requirement of your central layer or the spacer layer is that it has to be an insulating layer, right? And as I had mentioned that graphene being a semi-metal, zero gap what do you call, material cannot be used as such, because in this study, the study which I have shown you here, we have used in the parallel in the this configuration. Of course, for this configuration we did not get good results. Okay, so in perpendicular direction we have used it here, right? So if not perpendicular, what else way can we manipulate? Okay, so there are different, I'm not talking only about graphene here. Okay, you can explore materials in n number of ways. Okay, you can just give electric field. Okay, you can just provide electric field to your material and check, you know, what are the changes you are getting in your material. You can functionalize your material. Okay, so here in this work we have functionalized graphene with fluorine, and we have checked is there any changes, are there any changes in the properties of graphene we are getting. Okay, so what we have studied in this work is we have functionalized graphene with fluorine, and we have for electronic properties. Okay, to check the electronic properties. So what we have basically done in this work is suppose this is graphene here, right? This is your graphene layer, okay? And if you see here, graphene, we have what do you call functionalized one-sided functionalization and both-sided functionalization, okay? This is what it is mentioned here, okay? So we have studied for one-sided and two-sided. So in this case, what we have done, we have only functionalized one side of the graphene. Also, we have functionalized for 4 carbon atoms, 1 fluorine has been functionalized, okay? Of course, all the results, all these structures have been optimized. We have used atomistic toolkit, okay, for carrying all the simulations, and all the structures after after functionalization have been optimized. Fine. So here both the sides we have functionalized with fluorine. Here only on one side of the graphene layer we have functionalized with fluorine, okay? And also not complete all the atoms of carbon are functionalized. Here for 4 atoms, 1 fluorine has been adsorbed on the surface, right? And these structures are first individually optimized. These are optimized, then the entire structure is optimized on the ATK toolkit with density functional DFT calculations, okay? We have done DFT calculations for carrying out this optimization as well as simulation, right? So the major findings, why we have studied this structure, what was the reason? We had just wanted to study whether functionalization changes the property of graphene or not. Okay, since it is a zero gap semi-metal, using as it is on, see, it has a good property that it has long spin coherence length and good carrying mobility, okay? But apart from this, does it satisfies the insulating layer condition also? Okay, but it is not an insulator, it is semi-metal, right? So if you want to use our graphene as such without out of plane orientation, can we use it with functionalization? Okay, so what we have found here is, I'll take you to these results first. Okay, so these are the band diagrams of graphene. Okay, and this is for pristine graphene when there was no functionalization on graphene as such. Pristine graphene layer was simulated for this band diagrams. So we can see here that the conduction and valence band are meeting at this point, right? K point here, right? So this is a zero band gap semi-metal, as we all of us know it, right? So if you see here, they both are meeting here. So this is having 0. So this case A is for pristine graphene. This is band diagram of a pristine graphene. And when we had B shows the functionalization on one side only. Okay, so for this case, when we had adsorbed 1 fluorine atom on 4 for 4 carbon, 1 fluorine atom when was adsorbed. So this was the opening. So we have seen band gap opening from 0 to 0.7 in case of fluorine functionalized or fluorine adsorbed on one side of the graphene sheet. Okay, these are pure for graphene, not for the structure, for the device. These band diagrams are only for the graphene sheet, functionalized graphene sheet, and not for the device. Okay. Further, when we had adsorbed this fluorine on both sides of the graphene sheet, okay, when fluorine was adsorbed on both sides of the graphene sheet, we had seen that there was a huge band gap opening of 3.4 electron volts as compared to 0 here, as compared to 0.7 electron volts here. Okay, fine. So these were the major findings which, and of course these findings we have validated with experimental results as well. Okay, so we have through this study we have seen that functionalization is also a way of bringing about new exploring or exploiting new properties of existing material. So initially graphene, which was a semi-metal with 0 band gap, now with functionalization we have seen that we were able to open a band gap of around 3.4 electron volts. Okay, so what I mean to say is, if your material does not satisfy, if a material in pristine form does not satisfy your application conditions, you can always go with functionalization also. Okay, you have to try which material, by adding which material you can get good properties, you can enhance the property as per your application. Okay, this is just one example of such kind of changes which we have made. Okay, so of course these were actually the major results which I wanted to show, that you can open the band gap, the electronic properties of pristine material which was semi metal initially, and a gap of 3.4 electron volts was opened, and now this material, this particular structure, this particular material can be used in your application, whichever application wherein you need insulating, or it can also be used in optical properties as well, right? This structure now can be used for optical properties as well. Okay, you can always, we have just tried with fluorine here, you can try with water molecules also, hydrogen also. You can explore all the halogen groups for your materials, right? To get properties as per your applications, right? So these are the current versus voltage properties, TMR results of, we have just compared one-sided and two-sided absorption results here, right? So this work of ours was published in AIP Advances, American Institute of Physics Advances, right? The next work which I just want to discuss here is same concept we have extended here, functionalization concept only we have extended here. So CNT, we have done the functionalization on CNT. Okay, we have used a cylindrical CNT here, and here we have functionalized with fluorine atoms here on the CNT. So why we are going with functionalization in case of CNT is because CNT as such, when you use CNT as such, they just get into bundles. Okay, and it is very difficult to separate them for some application wherein you need only single layers of CNT, and also they are very easily soluble CNTs. Okay, so functionalization is why we have just tried functionalizing the CNT layer, cylinder also with fluorine atoms. So we have studied for bare or pristine CNT and the functionalized CNT for same application. Okay, magnetic tunnel junctions application for MTJ devices we have used. Okay, so these are some of the results for parallel and anti-parallel configuration. Also, these are the TMR versus voltage curve. So we have seen that for this when pristine CNT was used, okay, when pristine CNT was used, the maximum TMR which we have obtained is around somewhere around 96 point somewhere here, right? And for functionalized CNT, when this structure was used, when simulated using DFT, the TMR was nearly around 99%, approximately 99%, right? So this was about the functionalization of carbon nanotubes for magnetic tunnel junction devices, fine. And this work of ours was published in Materials Chemistry and Physics in 2019. Right. So I would like to just conclude that, right? So this different nanomaterials are available for your magnetic tunnel junction devices. Not only MTJ devices, there are other magnetic devices like spin balls also, and these 2D materials play a major role in this kind of MTJ devices. So you can explore more the more recent 2D materials, which are there, on which a lot of work is going on. There are some materials which are not still, there are a lot of work is going on, but still the synthesis is still going on. Like I had mentioned one of our papers on lithium ion batteries, so metal carbides and nitrides. Okay, these are the most recent materials in trend these days, on which a lot of work is going on. Also TMDCs, transition metal dichalcogenides. You have many materials come under this family, TMDCs families, and a lot of work also going on in this field, MTJ field, also in other conventional MOS devices as well, right? So apart from I always mention this, you can always combine different materials and study their properties, because we all always restrict ourselves to just using one single material, is it working or not? But you can just play with materials. What I had understood over the years is this field of study is so beautiful that you can combine different materials, you can explore their properties, you can use in your applications, different applications, right? So yes, so that is all from my side, Dr. Shubham. You can now open for questions, queries, if anyone has.
Thank you, ma'am, for your brief, for exploring the brief workouts regarding spintronics and its exploration in different research aspects. Participants, if you are having any queries, you can unmute and clarify yourself. We are ready. You can type your. So we this time is yours. Please come forward and ask the questions.
And if you have any queries further also, you can just contact me. I can share my email ID. You can get in touch with me through email as well if anyone want any kind of help, any kind of collaborative support. So we basically work computational people group, and we work on atomistic toolkit, and using density functional theory concepts theory, we work. First principles application, first principles theory we use for our simulation work, and we mainly focuses on 2D materials, and as I already mentioned, we work on energy storage. So we have started energy storage applications basically with lithium ion batteries. Now we are going forward with hydrogen storage also. We work for solar application, optical properties. Of course, MTJ is always there. So these are the areas which our group work on. And if anyone have any query, if they need any collaborative work they want to have with us, they can always welcome. They can just contact me. I'll drop my email ID. Right? Any queries?
Participants are requested to come forward since there is a madam is coming forward for with a collaborative opportunity. So please make use of this. This opportunities we won't get anywhere. So please come forward and please make yourself enriched in this opportunity. Enriched yourself. Okay, I think there is no messages or anything in chat boxes. Keeping this in mind that everything is understandable. I just once again thank Dr. Shweta Meena for his kind concern and for acting as a guest speaker in our session. Thank you very much, madam, for your kind concern.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph.
And I request. Thank you very much, madam. And I request all the participants to fill up the feedback form, which is available in the chat box as well as in your WhatsApp group. So please please fill up the forms to enable us to fill up your attendance. To conclude your attendance.
Thank you, Dr. Meena, for such a kind gesture and accepting our invitation without a second thought. We are very thankful to you for that kind of acts. So, maybe we will be having some more sessions in near future, and we'll be happy to have you on board once again. Thank you, Dr. Meena.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shubham and Dr. Joseph, for having me for this session, and all the very best. Wish you successful event, and thank you so much. So all the best to all the participants.
Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
Thank you all participants for your kind cooperation. So here forthcoming session will be started by tomorrow 10:10 a.m. So please give your kind cooperation in the same as that of the same. We keep on doing betterment for you in further sessions also. Hope all issues are resolved. Thank you very much. We will meet tomorrow morning. Thank you.